Judy, I feel I have to call you Professor, Doctor. We're at an educational institution here, TF South High School, and you have been the principal now of TF South for how long?
This is my 5th year as principal.
But it's not your 5th year in the system.
No, I started here 12 years ago, and my position was assistant principal for curriculum and instruction.
So you've been invested in what's happening here at TF South for a number of years.
Yes.
And a quick summary, as you look back, look at the present, and look to the future, how's TF South doing? I
think TF South is doing great. We get better every day. Our kids, we have 1,900 kids. They're absolutely wonderful. They do amazing things, whether it's volunteer work, whether it's academics or athletics, whatever area we're talking about, they excel.
When the average American citizen looks at education, it's tainted by what is said about education either on the national level or the local level or the political level or government agencies trying to tie it to funding issues, etc. But here we are at a substantial local high school, and you have been leading the charge here both educationally and facilities-wise for some time. What are the primary issues that you as administrators and faculty are addressing on a daily basis with the school?
I think that the negative perception of the public in general, I'm not talking about Lansing, I'm talking throughout the United States, that educators aren't doing a good job. And I think that we get the bum rap because no one's looking at the whole picture. For example, at TF South, 71% of our kids are under the poverty level. We have 60 homeless families. We have students, and I wouldn't be able to give you a number on this, that are coming from single-family homes, or they're living with their grandparents. And so it's more than just educating the students, it's making them feel like they count, they matter, before we can get them to really excel academically.
I don't want to just run past so quickly what you just said. You began by saying, yes, it's an educational institution, but you immediately focused on the students, where they're coming from, and their families. Would you say, number one, that represents the real heart of education here at TF South?
Yes, because in order to educate a student, you have to meet their other needs first. If you look at Maslow, one of the basic needs is hunger. So we have a wonderful food program here. We have a chef, actually, that makes lunch every day. I'm sure some kids will tell you it's not that good, but there are others that, especially visitors when they come in, that are absolutely amazed at what we're feeding our kids. The next is shelter. So they come here, they feel like they belong, and they feel safe here, and that's what's really important. And for some of our students, this may be the only place that they feel safe, or they feel like somebody really cares about them.
You mentioned single mother or father homes, but a statistic that is perhaps a surprise to people locally, 60 students from homeless families. Talk about those challenges a little bit.
That's correct. I can, off the top of my head, I think the biggest hardship is the family that we have that has 6 children and both parents, and they're living in a hotel room. All 6 of the kids and the parents, and those students, can you imagine just living in one hotel room? They come to school every single day. They're as neat as a pin, and if you looked at them, you would never know that they're living in a hotel room. Yet, they come here, and their life is so much different than what everybody else is going home to. The simple challenge of getting a meal, you can't cook in a hotel room. And the other families that we have, that's just one example. I think we have 12 families that are living in hotels. Some of them are, a parent and 1 or 2 children. Others, are larger, but that challenge just of, there's one hotel room, there's all these people, they can only eat cold food basically because you can't cook in the room. So breakfast, there's, it might be a donut because you can't keep milk in a hotel room. So it's this constant challenge that they face, and they come to school, and we don't, you know, we see them in the lobby when they come in. They get off the buses, they're smiling, and we don't think about what's going on sometimes in their home life. And when they don't have a home life and they're sitting in class, it's a struggle to pay attention, because some of them are thinking about, where am I sleeping tonight? Or where's my next meal coming from?
It's good to hear you speak, Judy, because while I know you have a whole list of wonderful things you want to say about academics and the school and statistics and all that, but to begin reminding the folks here in Lansing and the region of the lives and the families of the students that are here. We appreciate that much, so thank you for that focus. And I'm assuming that that theme also runs through the faculty. Are there special ways that you have to prepare your faculty to deal with this kind of new era in high school education?
Yes. Well, first let me say this. We have an absolutely wonderful faculty here, and I think it's 20% of our faculty actually attended high school here and came back to teach here, and they're members of the community, and they are very, very dedicated. And they make connections with the kids every single day. So we don't do a whole lot of staff development for that, because there's not as much of a need because of the caring people that we have on our staff.
So let's talk a little bit about those things that academicians love to talk about, the statistics regarding TF South. How does TF South rank locally or regionally in terms of some of those core stats academically and in terms of the ethnic breakdowns and so on?
Yeah, and see, that's why I think I started with what I started with, because our rank, if you look at a chart, we're in the lower 20% in the state. But we face all these challenges, and what people don't focus on are all the good things. So for example, our test scores are going up. We've been going up by 2 or 3% consistently for the past 5 years.
And that is the primary measure for both the faculty and for any outside sources like the state or the community?
Yeah, for the outside. That's what the first thing people look at, and they say, oh, well, that's not a good school. But that's not who we are. We're so much more. Our average daily attendance is 95%.
95%?
That means 95% of our kids are here every single day. And that really speaks to their commitment and the belief that they're going to excel. And we have that belief for them. We have a graduation rate of 93%, which is 10% higher than the state average.
Okay, let me just emphasize that. So the state average is around 83% of all children attending high school that they actually graduate. TF South is graduating at a 93% level on climbing, is what you're saying?
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent.
We have a program, we want our students to excel, not only in high school, but beyond high school. So one of the things that we do with our seniors is we help them fill out their college applications. We make sure that every senior fills out at least one college application. And if they don't, our counselors actually go to the gym, because everybody takes PE, pull them out of PE, and they apply at least to South Suburban. So they have the experience of filling out a college application and believing that they could actually attend college at some point in their lives, even if they don't want to do it right out of high school.
So whether they have already made the decision to go or not to go, you take them through the process regardless, so they have an understanding of what it would
take. And sometimes kids don't think they could get accepted in college. So that acceptance letter could change their life. When they find out, wow, I could really go to college. This is great. I have this opportunity. And then the second thing that we do for the families that is so important is we hold financial aid nights, where we talk about what financial aid is available and actually, you know, how to establish your PIN number and how to fill out the forms for financial aid, and we actually have people that sit down and help them.
And of course, that's financial aid for education.
For education. And as a result, our last year's graduating class was awarded $8.3 million in scholarship money.
Wow, so last year, $8.3 million was invested in TF South graduates going to college.
That is correct. That is correct.
A statistic that the community ought to celebrate, perhaps.
Yeah, it's a big celebration. That's a lot of money.
Academics is always accompanied with what we would call extracurricular. The community also is aware of, sports activities, music activities. Talk a little bit about the extracurricular growth or holistic side of education here at TF South.
Okay. Well, in athletics, for example, we just finished our fall season. We had 350 students involved in fall athletics. So that's football, golf, tennis, cross country, swimming. There's a couple more. We have 24 different sports. 60% of our fall athletes are on the honor roll. And last year, we have 24 sports altogether. 21 of our teams were recognized by the Illinois High School Association for their academic performance. And in addition to that, that means that the teams averaged a grade point average of 3.0 or higher for the whole team. So 21 of our teams did that.
So going back to that negative image we started, many folks think of the athletic programs of schools or educational institutions, both high schools and colleges, as just getting people by academically so they can really focus on the sports.
Yeah.
Is that a TF South philosophy?
Absolutely not. They're students first, and our coaches and our athletic director and our entire staff believe that. Every week their student athletes' grades are checked, and if they're not doing well, they are sent to athletic study hall. So we have study hall after school for the athletes to keep their grades up, and as a result, 60% of our athletes are on the honor roll. Of our 24 athletic teams throughout the school year, last year 21 out of the 24 were recognized by the Illinois the Illinois High School Association for having a grade point average of 3.0 or higher, and we're really proud of that. Because you often hear that term, dumb jock. Well, we don't have that here, and that's really important.
Well, thanks for that. Now, we talked about extracurricular, and people immediately focus on sports, but you have arts and music and community service and some technology extracurricular. Could you just describe some of that a little bit?
We have 30 different activities for our students. Some of them are curricular, so that would mean they would have a class during the day. For example, band or yearbook, newspaper, choir. Those are classes and their clubs. So that's their curricular. Then we have competitive clubs. We have a chess team and scholastic bowl and mathletes, just to name a few. There's a few more. And
Mathletes.
Mathletes, yes. We have math students that compete, and they do quite well. And then we have special interest activities. So we have groups like Rachel's Challenge, which is working on, keeping students feeling welcomed and cutting down on the bullying.
Well, and you also have performing arts recently, musicals and choir concerts and so on.
Right.
The public sees that as kind of the external image of the school. Is there a strong emphasis on participation in these kinds of activities?
Yes, we really support the arts in our school district. We have the drama, and our drama team has gone downstate. It's competitive. They've gone downstate for the last 2 years. Our band is competitive. Our marching band season just ended, and our students were awarded first and seconds at all the competitions they attended this year. We also have the choir, of course, that performs, and last year in the community they performed at the church across the parking lot, and that was a great performance.
We know that there are perhaps a whole list of other activities and organizations that you'd love to just get out there, and perhaps over the next few months we can come back as Lansing's Channel 4 and feature some of that. But just to address quickly from an inside perspective, a couple of other issues that are usually on the hearts of people as they think about academic institutions. One of the images, of course, is the issue of security and discipline within the schools. Where does TF South place those, may I say, issues on its priority lists?
Well, discipline is always a top priority. Safety is a top priority. We have a very low suspension rate. Very few kids in our detention. Detentions are mostly for tardies, but we have a low suspension rate, and we have a program for students in lieu of suspension. Our assistant principal for building control takes them out for community service, and we have a few members on staff that either volunteer their time to go with them. So they've done projects, Clean Up Lansing. Some of the students that volunteered at Lansing Fest, Autumn Fest rather, they were students that were mandated, but we also had 200 other students that were there just because they wanted to be involved.
Okay, not to gloss over that, because that's not a requirement. I'm assuming that that's some initiative on the part of the assistant principal and other faculty who get involved. This is a creative way of providing a holistic approach to discipline.
It's a holistic approach, but Jerry, in order to educate the kids, they have to be in school. So it was our way of keeping them in school instead of giving them the day off because they were suspended. So now they're using their Saturdays or their evenings to go into the community and do some volunteer work.
Those who have watched or were part of TF South many decades ago, and they're still in Lansing, would say, wow, school is not the same. I just want to zero in briefly. Certainly the security issues, because of the overblown, in some ways, images, negative images of what happens in schools. Security procedures and tying with local law enforcement and so on, is that an ongoing issue for the school?
Well, we have a good partnership with the Lansing Police Department. When you come to our building, I think you noticed that today, Jerry, you were buzzed in, and then you were probably asked for your identification, unless they knew you at the front desk, of course, but that never usually happens. Visitors have to give an ID, their state ID, or a driver's license, which is then scanned into the system, the state system, so that we're not letting just anybody into our building. And
Again, school different than when many folks were kids, but it has become kind of the way of the schools today because they're the first line defense in many cases for security. One quick last question, because there's so many other issues that we'd like to follow up on in the future. Facility-wise, the school looks different than it did 10 or 15 years ago. What recently are the issues that you've had to face here, either in terms of improvements or renovations or traffic flow, and what might be coming down the pike?
Well, every year we have some type of construction project going on. So for example, our cafeteria was expanded a couple of years ago, so we can now seat, instead of 300 students, we can seat 600 students. We have converted 2 of our courtyards. We have 3 courtyards. 2 of our courtyards are now gardens where we grow fruit, vegetables, so that we can then donate them to the food pantries. We donate about 2,000 pounds of produce a year.
All right, now wait a minute. That's a whole ton of produce that you're saying the students here grew a ton of vegetables, et cetera, right here on the property.
Correct.
And then what did they do with it?
They donated it to food pantries, and this was all done by volunteers. And our head volunteer, we couldn't do it without him, Dan Druno. He keeps everything organized. He gets the word out into the community so people from outside can come and volunteer, as well as our students.
Another great story.
Yeah, and then our latest project was the parking lots. So people can turn in now and they exit onto Burnham Avenue instead of going around in a circle and trying to exit while other people are entering the parking lot. And so far it looks like it's working.
So that's improved both convenience and safety, it sounds.
Yes, yes.
Well, Judy Whalen, you have been the principal now for 5 years plus, and counting at TF South. Thanks for giving us a little bit of an inside look at TF South on this Inside Lansing feature. Maybe come back in a few weeks or months and find out a little bit more what's going on inside TF South.
Jerry, I'm looking forward to it. I could talk to you all day and night about all the wonderful things that are going on here, and we really would appreciate to get the word out in the community.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for your service.